saying is someone's still going to win, and it might be weak. If just
I know
half the field, if just about half the field is playing badly, with golf, you can easily say, oh, the course must be hard. They're all playing bad. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. And good evening. Welcome to Divots and Pivots, episode 38. Another beautiful Tuesday night here, and thank you for joining us on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever you are choosing to take us in. If you were listening to this on the podcast the next day, thank you for tuning in. Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever it is that you take it in. Amazon as well, I believe. But anyways, without further ado, we got some fun stuff to talk about. We hit the course. This is a little teaser. We hit the course yesterday. Some interesting stories out of that. We will get to that later. But first and foremost, as always, wearing the Pipe It hat from Piper.golf, Mr. Bud Copeland. And there's a crack.
Here's to another wonderful golf season in the books. I got to say, due to some recent developments within my fivesome/foursome, my regular group of guys, somebody came back from Vegas with the COVID. And so that was it. You and I put
that was the last round.
That was the last round for the season. It's going to be a long, dark, cold off season, but we're going to keep things entertaining. We've definitely got the clubhouse to look forward to a couple times. See us and see you there. But yes, it was an entertaining day out there, none the least. But first and foremost, that clip of me bagging Sergio, I'd like to amplify that, and I wish I could. I wish I could rain on his parade more, but his Fireballs team, I guess, won the Live event last week over in Bangkok.
It's about time someone other than the four races.
And DJ still winning. I'm sure. If you did not see, I guess we'll go right into it. If you didn't see, they already came out and said, yeah, we got another event or two left, but given the points and the structure and the ass kickings to date, Dustin Johnson's already won the year-long race for points, which comes with it comes with an $18 million bonus, which tagged on to his winnings on course, tops him at $30 million.
Yep.
There's stuff floating around about like he won more this year on Live than Xander Schauffele has in his entire career. There's a laundry list of players who haven't won that kind of money playing golf. And that brings the whole conversation back to guys like Rory, Will Zalatoris, This Bud's for You, and how more money isn't always what these guys are after. Will Zalatoris, they're talking about more money, but not life-changing money, which it's mind-boggling for people like us to think in that terms of turning down the extra couple of million, because it's just a different universe. So you have to scale things back to priorities, goals, wants, dreams, aspirations, etc. And so good for this young man who won. Don't even know his fracking name. I mean, all I know about him is he was a hot shot out of Oklahoma State, bounced and headed over to Live. And I do appreciate, while you pull up his name, I do appreciate that John Rahm, Rambo won his Nations Open, and during his acceptance speech, in kind of a signal or symbolic gesture, he did just say, "There's folks out there who want," I'm paraphrasing, obviously, two reasons: A, I don't speak Spanish, and B, I don't have that kind of memory or have it in front of me. But he essentially was giving a head nod towards the kid who won on Live. He said, there are folks out there who wants us. They want us to view the Live players as if they're evil or they're the other guys. And that's not always the reality we live in. He said, what I saw was a 22-year-old man go up against a bunch of pro golfers, some of the best in the world, and win a golf tournament. So here's to you. And
Eugenio Chacarra.
Thank you. And from Oklahoma, I mean, I say from Oklahoma State, he's from Spain, but he came out of Oklahoma State, like so many of the golfers, Matty Wolf, Ricky Fowler, the list
and
goes on.
He was in the field here in Boston at the event we went to, because I do remember seeing him there. So he was in that field as well.
Right. And he gets his first professional win. And I mean, he's already changed probably not just his life, but, maybe some relatives, maybe, as Beyonce said, my great grandbaby's already rich. It's not that kind of money on Live yet, but they're going that direction. But full stop. I see where now there could be some Spanish kids out there. This is their first exposure to golf, and all they know is live, and that's where they get their foot in the door. So,
Yeah.
this whole conversation is not ending. The lawsuits are being dropped. There's only a handful of guys left, and I even think that'll get snuffed out before the spring, because the majors will get worked out at that point. At that point, the Masters and the PGA will have to have tipped their hands as to whether or not they're going to make any adjustments or bans. I don't think they're going to ban anything. I really do think everybody's just going to stand pat, which means $30 million in a year of golf. Is it impressive? Of course it's impressive.
Sure.
But is it impressive? Is it really that impressive when you consider the limited field nature? We go through this all the time where what's the value if everybody's getting a trophy at the end of the day? Where is the kind of it's splashy, it's flashy, it is very exhibition golf at Pat Perez.
100% is.
You chump. But I'm sorry, that comment was just chumpish. Exhibitions don't pay 4 points. No, that's what they pay, you jerk. So I do what I like about this is things are progressing the way they're supposed to. Everybody's protecting their territory. People are kind of signaling where they stand. John Rahm now, that he's kind of Switzerland in this whole thing. He's neutral. He's saying, I'm for golf. That's all I'm for golf. I'm for the Euro. He's like, what he's saying is, don't ask my opinion about Live and the Ryder Cup. I'm pro Ryder Cup. And he's saying to Ryder Cup Europe, I want you to make it so that the best players from Europe play. That doesn't matter to me how you do it. Make whatever concessions.
It doesn't matter what tour you came from. Just pick the best players.
And then you got, and I like that because you also have guys like Rory who are sticking up for the brand, quote unquote, or the company and their own personal investments, which needs to happen as well. Nobody's going to back down. Nothing's going to die here. What's going to ultimately come down to is this World Golf Rankings fiasco. Now, full stop, because we're about to go down a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah, we could get lost for the rest of the show easily on the World Golf Rankings.
You did mention my Pipette hat. I pulled it out because this hat right here earned the aforementioned, now defunct because of COVID, done for the year, Saturday League team. We won the Saturday Bramble Gross Division, which AKA men's, with a pair of 62s essentially. I mean, I think we shot 114 as a team, gross. And if you're not familiar with the Bramble, it's fun. Everybody tees off. You pick the best tee ball, and then all your teammates play in from there. They play their own ball, and then you take either 1, 2, or 3 scores, however you want to, divvy it up. We took 2 scores. So grazie to Piper Golf, piper.golf. Get over there, get your pipe. Their new hoodie is pretty sweet too. Did you see the black hoodie they have out there?
Oh, I actually haven't seen the black hoodie. I'm gonna have to pull that up.
Pull it up. Their new black hoodie is dope. It's tight in multiple ways. They were sold out of the XL, so if you're listening, Piper, get some more XLs off the press. But if you're listening or watching, go to piper.golf. Whether you're getting your balls, your hats, or your swag, make sure you use the promo code DIVPIV, DIVPIV, when you're checking out, so they know that we sent you. And look at it if you're watching live.
That is you are 100% right. That is a nice hoodie.
See, and now check to see if they have any XLs in. I was on there the other day.
Sold out still.
Sold out. All right. No,
large is a sold out, and XL is a sold out. So they went fast. So these look nice though. I'm gonna have to get me one of these as well because that's a nice hoodie.
It's not an illusion. I accidentally poured myself an espresso before we went on. I just haven't drank it yet.
Gonna be up all night, sir.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because before. Be up all night looking at my sweet ass second ball.
I just wore that one yesterday.
It's sick. It's sweet. Thank you again to the people at Mahler Bros for making my personal dream come true. I know that's why they're here, essentially, is to make my dreams come true. So
it's all about you.
Thank
all
you for that. It is the sooner we all come around to understanding that, the better this is gonna work. But I am going to be up all night. I'm going to be up all night tomorrow night, and probably be up all night the next night and the night after that and the night after that. Not because I have a 2-year-old, but Cooper Rose is doing well. Thanks for asking. But
yes, good.
We're in Japan this week. The PGA Tour is at the Zozo Championship.
Oh,
they are in Japan. This is that leg of the tour that some whiny baby chimed in on Twitter saying, "Oh, you all have no idea how rough this travel schedule is." I'm like, dude, I got to grind it out on I-95 North every day. Don't talk to me. Like, I don't have time. I don't
You've
have
never
time
had to commute through Boston. You don't know.
Yeah, seriously, says the born again New Englander. But they're going to be out in Japan. This is a fun tournament. This is actually where Tiger I think he won his 80th a couple years ago or 81st or something like that. Last year, speaking of official world golf ranking points, not last year, but 2 years ago, this was in one of the top 15 strongest fields, according to the world golf ranking points. And it's because this is kind of that flagship crossover event for the Asian tour. But at the same time, they're filling some airspace here in the fall, and I don't think they're too concerned with what's going to happen over in, I think it's Jeddah or Jeddah. Don't at me, bros, but yeah, the golf club in Jeddah for the Live Tour. But Zoso is going to be on. I love it because it's going to be like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. or something like that. The live coverage. I can't wait. I love this. I love this kind of stuff. Any stupid excuse to stay up and watch golf, I'm your Huckleberry all day.
So I view that the same way as I do like the last Winter Olympics when all the curling matches were on at like 2 a.m. or so. I just put the Olympic channel on, fall asleep.
Biggest curling fan in the world.
Wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, lay back down, and catch a quick score glimpse. Watch it for a little bit. Watch the U.S. curling match. I was setting alarms for the USA matches, even if they were like 2 a.m, just so I could like make sure I saw at least some of it before I fell back asleep. So, but yeah, it's one of those.
Are you already setting alarms? By the way, that quick pause, that DivPiv promo code also works at Mahler Bros. Use that again so they know that we sent you. Are you setting alarms already for the World Cup in where the hell they are? Qatar.
I have not set the alarms yet, but I will be, because I will be wanting to watch those games. Although the U.S. team has not looked the greatest in their last friendly or two, so we're waiting to hope to see that turn around a little bit.
Yeah,
we really need a good World Cup showing for once,
because it's going to be them, England, Argentina, and Brazil in the semis, right? That's the way it's going to go down.
Geez, that would be. I'd be satisfied. That'd be a win for me right there.
I know. Oh, shit, making it out of pool play would be a win. I know less than nothing about soccer, footy. But I did listen to on DP show earlier today, Dan Patrick show. What's his face from Men in Blazers was on breaking it down, and it was hilarious. So looking forward to that. But bringing it back to what we were talking about earlier is, overnight golf, Zoso, we're in Japan, and those guys out there are going to get some official world golf ranking points because it's an officially sanctioned event. Another
shocker how that works.
And I don't know, before we pivot into that. Oh, I don't want to tidy up the PGA Tour stuff because I think we are about to go full bore live.
Yeah.
Patrick Cantlay, did you see Patty Ice meltdown over the weekend? And I meant to say that.
I admittedly did, and I spent a lot of time with my kids this weekend, and that's what I was doing.
Stop it, Father of the Year.
And then I spent a lot of time prepping to hit the course with you and absolutely embarrass myself in front of Don.
Don, I love Don. Shouts to Don at Four Oaks. No, Patrick Cantlay. I didn't do much watching myself. I was up at the in-laws farm in Maine, desperately trying to hold it together. I did go to the. I went to the casino. Went to the Oxford Casino. This is one of the 4 trips a year that I do with my father-in-law, and we both got out $60, and I put in 50 because the other 10 I went and spent on an IPA, and so we sat there. I quickly lost my $50 to the slots gods. Slots? No, we're not going to go that direction. Gene shouts to old man Bean, $50 in. If his wife's listening, $100 out. $360. Old man River made out nice, and so here's the old man for that. No, I wasn't paying too much attention, but I did catch 2 things. A, he shot 61 on Saturday, which was just kind of like, to put it in perspective, that we're talking that pitcher for the Padres the other night who got checked behind the ears for the greasiness, which wasn't there. Nice call, Showalter. Listen, dude, Buckaroony, if you're going to do that, do it in the 3rd inning with respect. Don't do it in the 7th when he's hanging a single hitter on you.
Exactly.
And then I
That
mean,
was
at that point,
desperation. That's what that was. It was desperation.
uh,
And at that point, it wasn't
uh,
even a desperation to change the outcome of the game. It was desperation to give him an excuse so he could put an asterisk on the game. That's what that was.
I think so. I think so. But the parallel there is one hitter, 61. That's that level of play where you're just like, wow, that's impressive. I don't
Exactly.
care what course you're at. That's impressive. And then to take it to the other end of the spectrum, did you see how the tournament ended, or have you heard tell?
Well, I've heard tell. I have not. I did not see it myself, though. As I said, like I didn't
I
really watch any of
I
it.
didn't really watch any live coverage, and it was ending late. And I just happened to turn it on, and I see somebody's ball in what looks like some I don't know, tumbleweed from an old western, and it's just sitting there. And whoever's
I can
on
relate.
that group walk over, looks at it 2 feet away. He's like, "This is unplayable. There's nothing you can do. You can't get anything." Blah 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 blah. Walks away. Patty Ice goes for it, tries to hit it, doesn't get out, has to take an unplayable triple bogey, goes from being tied for the lead in the 72nd hole to losing to welcome down everybody's new favorite golfer, Tom Kim.
Yep.
I
We
I
talked
don't
about him like weeks ago for one of the tournaments. I feel like he
the
definitely came up.
President's Cup. The President's
Was it
Cup.
the President's Cup? I said he came up. That's right. We
he
did
is
bring him up because I
it.
remember referencing him. I say don't sleep on him. He's a like a gutsy
No,
player.
everybody. He's 19, 20 years old now. He's the future and face of, I guess you would say, like the Southeast Asian golf contingent. You know, if you had to kind of put a face on the European continental, I'd say it's John Rahm. You know, the British would be Rory. You know, Australia, that part you got Adam Scott. So point being, you know, Hideki Matsuyama.
You're still putting Adam Scott over Cam Smith, huh?
Yeah. I mean, for right now, I mean, give Cam Smith another 5-7 years, let him win a major, and then he catches up to Mr. Beautiful. But you forget, Mr. Beautiful won the Players, he won the Masters. You know, he's been there. He's been there.
Not a knock on Adam Scott at all.
But no, that was a fascinating kind of objection, because you're right, he's on that trajectory. Does this detour to live derail that? And that's a nice soft pivot, because I say Tom Kim is that's the next one. And I don't think Tom Kim would sign because he got a taste of that President's Cup. Pause. They'll figure out international play. Everybody's going to come back to the board. World Golf ranking points will not be exclusively delivered through Live. Fun fact, doing a little research, 54 hole events get full points on PGA Tour. So if your event gets cut down by weather, they don't start prorating. They don't start prorating the points. And somebody could fact check me on this, but they don't start prorating the points unless a 72 hole event goes down to 36, or if a planned 54 hole event got cut to 36, then they would make an adjustment. But I was reading, because I was kind of fascinated. I mean, we do talk about this whole 54, which made me think, well, hold on just a second. If now the counter to that is they also say, quote unquote, limited field events are 30 players or less, which is also why it's that magical number of top 30 at Eastlake, right? So
that's interesting, because even WGCs were more than 30, so they were still getting full world ranking points for even though interesting. That does kind of change your view on
because
on their perspective of their argument.
People want to boil this down to ego and business, which that's 2/3 of the equation. But when you're talking about these things, I nerded out a little bit because I heard somebody use the word accredited. You know, they're reviewing this the official World Golf Ranking. So quick pause. Let's catch everybody up. In case you missed it, before the Bangkok event, the Live Series, Invitational Series, heretofore known as Live released a statement saying, we've got a new strategic partnership that we are part of with the MENA, which stands for the Middle Eastern and North African Golfers Association. A mini tour that has been around for the better part of 15 years, missed a couple of seasons, not just COVID, some financial, but they're one of those, they put on half a dozen tournaments a year for small purses, and small points. They do get a certain number of official World Golf Ranking points. Go to Wikipedia, look up the official World Golf Ranking points page, and it'll give you a quick overview of just how many are doled out and where they are. Obviously, the overwhelming majority go through the big tours, but it is the Sunshine Tour in South Africa. So they say, all right, number of players that you're inviting and the caliber of players, we're going to offer your tour X amount of points. Now you can say one event all in, you can space it out. So what happened is Liv went out and found one of those struggling mini tours, and they said, looks like you've got some infrastructure and no personnel / content / talent. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So if you Google Mina golf, first of all, the first thing Google tries to do is autocorrect to men's golf, and it keeps redirecting. It's dead ass, dude.
Oh, I 100% believe it.
It keeps redirecting you to the PGA Tour page. You have to first go through that, and then it says, do you mean MENA golf tour? And so once you click on that and you get to their home screen, well, what do you know? Their quote unquote order of merit is the Live finishes this year with that level of money and everything. So they're putting on this face of, hey, we're a pre-existing tour. We've had points to give before. We have chosen to partner up with this existing league, which is our right to do. We can do this if we want, which I agree about all of this wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and it's something it's something a long time ago with Liv that we talked about them potentially doing. It wasn't necessarily to get World Golf Rankings, but we talked about how they were going to probably partner with some sort of smaller league or two or whatever.
I thought it would have been the Asian Tour, which they have an agreement with the Asian Tour where Live golfers have some sort of status or can choose to opt into certain events. That's different because that's just like the PGA Tour saying we got 5 spots open for the local charity to nominate 3 golfers or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But so this thing gets announced, and it gets announced right before Bangkok, and they say, hey, by the way, new announcement, new partnership. The Live Tour events are actually part of our tour now. Okay, cool. The whatever it was earlier this year is co-sanctioned by the PGA Genesis Scotland Open, co-sanctioned by the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour. So trying to use that model, they tried to shoehorn in some immediate points access. If you go to look at how many points were at stake, not a ton.
Sure.
But it's enough to kind of put that foot in the door, because then the minute that's recognized, the average ranking of the MENA Tour player starts skyrocketing, right? We've got Dustin Johnson, we've got Cam Smith, these people who still have high rankings. That's going to bring up our number of eligible points from the whole pool. You follow?
Well, and that's the thing, that the top end talent that is, sure, smaller fields, but the top end talent, it's very top heavy in that it's legitimate talent.
It is
like
for now.
Top 20 talent at the top of the tour, and then sure, you can make the argument that the bottom half of that tour is a lot of unknown, sea level, whatever you want to call it. But it's not like everyone out there is a schmuck.
No. Oh, we talked about that too. Razor thin margins out here. But okay, so the more you're a top player, but you're not playing against large pools of really good talent, and you're playing against smaller pools of good talent, even really good talent, the more you kind of siphon yourself off, the less that greatness. And so, you are starting to see players drop. Phil just dropped out of the top 100 again. DJ's in trouble of dropping, all this kind of stuff. Right. Kind of rightfully so. Again, this is playing out kind of how it should. So that announcement comes out and everybody's like, yeah, score 1 for Liv. And Greg Norman's doing his freaking thing on social media.
Of course.
And the official World Golf Ranking body said, pause. No, not going to happen yet. Because they said what you've done is kind of introduce we have a pre-existing agreement with you all. And what you've done is you've introduced kind of a new variable that we have a review process. So right now it's entering the review process through the official World Golf Ranking. Now, who controls that? Representatives from all the big tours and Rolex and all that. Not to say that they can't approve it, but there is a process. So people out there saying, let them get their points. No, sorry, dude. You turn in your homework late. Like, you might miss the deadline this year, but you might be considered next year. So if I had to bet, I would say this isn't going to fly. They're going to say it's a little too flimsy. You really are trying to, it's almost like you're trying to marry taking the state amateur or the state open away from the official organization and partner up with some local country club somewhere and say, hey, we're the real new state open. It's like,
Well,
No, we're not going to.
but that's where I hope that we don't start to hear. So say they do get turned down for that, and it's more of a let's review it over the next year. We'll talk about it next year kind of thing.
I
I
think
don't
we'll know
want.
in a couple months, if
Well,
not
yeah,
sooner.
but what I'm
Yeah.
saying, if it's not immediate, I don't want to hear bitching from the players about it not being immediate, because this goes back to, once again, you chose to sign with a startup, and with startups, there's bumps in the road at the start. There's obstacles you
Don't
gotta
we know it?
withstand. Like, so I don't want to hear bitching and whining that they're not immediately, top 100 Forbes, just as an example of a business. Like, you got to take your bumps and bruises. You gotta pay your dues. And just because you were top 10 in the world before doesn't mean you get to surpass all of that. They chose this, and they gotta ride it out if they chose it.
You are right. They did choose it. So that's where this next week's tournament's coming up. And listen, I'm not opposed to there being world golf ranking points for these guys.
Yeah.
And I think you just nailed it. You just nailed the point that I'm going to piggyback, which is I'm just like, don't expect my support when you're cranky that it didn't happen immediately.
Yeah,
And
let's
I
get
do
it right.
agree. Yeah, I do agree with some of the PGA Tour players who are like, dude, you just jump ship and you're trying to kind of you're already riding along at Mach speed at record levels, and you just kind of split off, and you want to say that you got there on your own and like you deserve the same kind of. That's a shitty analogy, but
I get what you're saying.
Right. So it's going to take time. I think it also goes back to the interesting nature or the interesting situation with Tom Kim. Here you do have an international star who is ripe for the quote unquote picking for something like Live, which is trying to do this global splash. Where you and I were talking the other day, rumor has it the live experience was pretty dope out there, and they did have some decent crowds. I haven't done much homework on it. I was busy not watching Patrick
yet
Cantlay
either. I've just been able to tell from what I've seen on social media and articles at this point.
The true source of all truth, social media. No, but to your point, this still is a product launch year. And so guys like, a guy like Tom Kim might see a reaction to Chikara, who just won this week. If I said that name correctly, I hope I did.
I believe you.
If not, somebody politely correct me. But they might see a reaction to that. And all of a sudden they realize, okay, I just had that International Cup experience, President's Cup. I love that feeling of having something to represent my country. Not just the Olympics. Yeah, the Olympics is there, but why should American golfers get something to play for every year, right? I mean, I'm wearing my Tom Kim hat, sure. And so maybe it is intriguing. I've got a couple of PGA Tour wins under my belt, which proved that I can play at that level. I went toe to toe with the best that America's got, so I know I go to that level. This is a lot of effing money. Like I'm just gonna go. Like I can see these thoughts.
It can be tempting
because they might not have grown up the same way that we did. With just dozens and dozens of golfers, pro golfers on the biggest world stage, and so here's their chance to create another world situation. And then also you get the physical regionality. Look at the team like the Fireballs with Sergio, Chikara, Joaquin Neiman, Carlos Ortiz. I think that's the crew.
I believe so. Yeah, that is.
I think that's the four, but all Spanish speaking countries, all kind of, all that. So, Niblix with Hudson Swafford and the other Southern guys from the Southeast. So again, there's stuff out there. I just really wish that somebody would just tell the shark to pipe down a little bit. I loved seeing two things. A couple weeks ago, they introduced beverage carts for the spectators.
Yeah, you were telling me about, and I hadn't seen that yet, but you were telling me about that yesterday.
Magnificent. I mean,
it is.
You want to talk about enhancing the fan experience. That was it. But being in Bangkok, they were taking it a step further, and you saw these tuk-tuks taking people around the course and stuff. And it was a freaking shouts to our favorite. I would say our favorite Georgia dog that's on the Live Tour, because he definitely outranks Bubba and Patrick Reed in my book. But Hudson posted a hilarious video. Hudson Swafford on Instagram posted a hilarious video of eating not Chick-fil-A, eating KFC in the back of a tuk-tuk. And what looked like to be an hour that is way, way later than most people would be awake. Yeah. But it's hilarious. I highly encourage you to go find it out because it's straight out of old school.
Did you see his hole out, by the way, from the fairway out there?
Yeah, dude. Homeboy's getting dialed in.
It was pretty nice.
And he was throwing darts there at the end. So
Yeah.
he's another story where you get a guy who's won a couple times on tour, which learning how to win is tough. I mean, I'm spoken like a true winner, right? No, it's and
I don't
so
know what you're talking
it
about. I
take.
figured it out.
But as soon as you get the feeling, and then things start to click, and a little bit of momentum goes, and you see this 22-year-old kid come out of not nowhere, but come out and get one. You see what's possible out there. You get a second wind.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to follow this next year because they've definitely got the money, which means that they've got another year of operation. But when I don't think that they're butthurt about having 17,000 people, live watch the finale,
Yeah.
because again, they knew what they were going for, which was their market over there. Um, I'd love to see what the streaming numbers were over there, if there were any locally that like we're just not privy to or anything like that, or if this truly was just a kind of quote unquote small live local event.
I think digital watching wise, they're going to pay more attention to those numbers next year once they have that deal with Fox now, or FX1, or whichever branch of Fox it is that they got the. Apparently, I don't know if it's been finalized officially yet. We saw a lot of news pushed out that there was about to be finalized, but I don't know if it's actually been finalized. But basically, they're going to be buying time on Fox to air their events. So I think that's when they're going to start paying more. I don't think they necessarily, like you said, because they know what they expected this year. I don't think they've really necessarily quote unquote cared about the YouTube viewers at this point.
That's interesting, though, that Fox is their bedfellow on this, considering they have a traditionally conservative, viewer base who would see the Saudi connection, right? Like if
Correct.
we're gonna go ahead and paint with some broad swaths and stereotypes and no disrespect, just kind of playing a hypothetical out there where it's like that is an interesting perspective because maybe that's the crowd. If we can win them over, then we can do anything. Or Fox is the only one saying, all right, we'll give you a chance. I don't see them putting them on any of their cable stations. I think it is either Fox Digital, which would be either their subscription service, Fox Nation, or they might say, yeah, we'll just put you on our foxsports.com, streaming app, which is not outside the realm of possibility. It'd be like NBC saying,
Yeah.
sure, we'll put you on Peacock.
Yeah, no, so it's specifically Fox Sports 1. So it's not
Okay.
their
Oh,
it's
they
not
are.
their so but it's not like it's not going to be on like, the same Fox that airs the NFL. I think Fox Sports 1 is like the next tier down from the main network, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Fox's ESPN. That literally was their answer to ESPN was
Yeah.
FS1. That's pretty dope though. I mean, good for them. It'll be fun to talk to Hardy in the spring and say, "Hey, old man, you can turn your TV on and press this button and get the golf." I'm dead serious, right? I'm
Oh,
dead
but
ass.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
I gotta watch my mouth. My wife said that my daughter said dead ass the other day, and I'll be 40 on Sunday. I don't need to be saying those kind of things publicly or privately. But dead serious, he was like, "That's all it needs. I need something where I can turn on the TV and I can press this button and boom, I got the golf."
Well,
All right, here now tune in because
say it into
it
your
goes
remote
back.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Repeat after me, Gramps. No, but it goes back to my point of I might then be able to turn around and go, okay, now that it was so easy that even a caveman can do it, did you do it? And what'd
Yeah.
you think? Now that you were able to do it in your comfort of your home studio or man den or whatever, cave, whatever you watch or consume your sports, you were able to do it in a familiar setting. What'd you think? Because quite frankly, I don't think the new leaderboard style is confusing. It says right up there how many holes to go and where everybody
Yeah.
is. That takes a shift in it does take a shift in thinking because you're looking for the bug underneath. And pardon me, you also have to understand you're not going to be sitting there. Had one more. You're not going to be sitting there for 10, 12 hours. It is, plug it in and go. I look forward to season 2 of Live Golf because I think also you're going to see a much more active social media presence online. If this thing's on FS1, which is in almost every sports cable package in the country, then you will see people with nothing else to do on Friday while it's slow at the bumfuck open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's people out there that just throw those channels on in the background while they're working, or there will be kind of that random viewer picked up from time to time. I think they will be able to quote unquote cash in on, but be able to tap into. So yeah, I think next year will definitely be interesting to see how Live adapts and to see if they do change their live coverage or their digital coverage at all to adapt to whatever FS1 wants it to look like, or just whatever they want it to look like on Brandon. I'll be curious to see if they do change anything from their YouTube experience to a network experience.
Here's the next question: who's advertising, and who's pulling those?
That'll be where they'll make all their money back that they are paying Fox to air it, because that's the thing. Fox isn't buying them to be on there. Fox is doing them a favor, saying, "Okay, you can pay us, and we'll give you some airtime." So they're going to be responsible basically for all their own ads. I'm assuming at this point.
So basically, we're saying, call us. We'd love to do a spot.
Why not? I think we're very much at the sellout stage, right?
Shit, I was never.
I'm kidding.
That stage. No, but speaking of things that suck, like trying to find advertising dollars for your TV show.
I know where you're going with this, and that was a low blow.
I would never comment about another golfer's performance like that.
I know,
but
Don would.
Don was brutal.
You know what was great about it? Don, I don't even think realized he was taking digs at me, but he was. But I don't think he meant to. I don't think he realized he was doing it. But he was saying things. I just went, "Ouch!" Like damn, that hurt, Don.
Don's hit the age and stage of life where, God, my old man, when I was in Florida last week, I understood once I turned 75, I can say whatever I want. No, You can't, geezer, especially not if I'm around. But Don is at that point in life where it's just no filter coming right out. So Don was the local member we got paired up with out at the Four Oaks Country Club. And is it Dracut? Dracut?
Do not say Dracut. It's Dracut.
Dracut. It's not Dracut, just like it's not Haverhill, it's Haverhill.
Correct.
Over the Piscataqua River. Remember, born again. Don was our local over in Dracut, who we got paired up with at the Four Oaks Country Club. We went out and played on the Columbus Indigenous Day of America.
Sure did.
And it was a glorious round. It was the final round of the year. It was colder than squat in the beginning, but your boy showed up in shorts because I had just spent a week in Florida playing golf in the sun. I was not about to give in. and I will say the sun came out and it was like 70 degrees by the time
it got real nice. The sun came out while it began to spit on us a little bit too, which was just like
rain. It began to rain. God,
no, but it wasn't like real rain. It was like a drop here and there. That's why I call it spitting.
Sun shower.
It was a little sun shower, a little sun spit shower.
The only complaint I had was the cash only nature of the drink cart and halfway house, but they had an ATM, so I got over that quickly.
And I think we saw I need, in order for my round to be better, I needed those drinks earlier, which we weren't able to get because it was cash only. So
God, you were I liked it. You were excited to play golf.
I was excited to play golf. I was too excited to play golf. That was a problem.
Way too excited.
I can and here I'm going to show you right now what being too excited to play golf looks like, because when you're too excited to play golf, you are spending your whole swing looking at the clouds because you are dreaming big. And this is what looking at the clouds in your swing looks like. See these 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 8s in the front 9.
Leave that up because we're going to break this down.
I plan on leaving it up for a bit, and for those of that are listening on the podcast realm and not watching us on video here, I do have the scorecard up, signed and dated and officially co-signed, so it's official.
I posted
not that anyone cares.
How many Piper Blues did you lose on the day? Let's start there. And I'm not trying to shame you, trying to put in perspective because we kept it moving. We probably could have. I want him to get the number out there and then cut that in half because he did the very gentlemanly thing of
let's keep the round moving.
Let's just keep it moving. Yeah, I don't need to look for that one.
So what's funny enough,
look for a new order for Andrew soon.
So what's funny enough is I don't think I even started losing balls until about the 4th hole. I think 4th or 5th hole is when I lost my first ball. And that came 3/8 after 3/8. So I didn't lose a ball through 3/8, which is impressive if you ask me. But yes, I think in the end, after the whole run, I think I lost 12, which is I lost the whole pack. Because I believe I ended the round on a ball that I found on the course, a Callaway that I picked up and ended the ball on that. the round on that.
I'm just pissed off I had 6s on the card, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to you. So for those of you listening in your car or anywhere else, we're looking at this scorecard, normal scorecard. Top line says Bud has my score, total great. Then the bottom, then 3 lines down says Andrew has his score. It peters out around the hole 7, then just says Andrew sucks.
Wait,
see you next time.
You gave me to hole 7 for it to peter out? Thank you.
11. But then below that, this is a lesson, and this is the learning moment of the day. Golf 101.
And to be fair, I knew this was stupid. I am prefacing this with I knew it was stupid, but I just felt like
we're going to use this as a growth moment for you and for everybody else, because people do this. You're not alone. I wasn't busting your chops because this is a classic golf mistake. And again, knowing what you want to get out of the round when you go out there is the key. If you're looking to actually score, if you're looking to actually, consistently play and get better at the game, one of the key things you can do is work on your mental game. And it sounds so effing cliche, but it's true. Learn to play one hole, one swing. It's okay to think of a hole, to think of an entire approach to a hole. All right, this is what I'd like to do. Envision it from start to finish. And then if you miss the fairway or you have to make some audibles, then you go shot to shot, but one hole at a time, and then get through your round and look back. Because if what happens is, you see on the very first hole, Andrew made a solid 8. There are no par 8s in golf. It's not like a thing that exists. So it wasn't a great start. It's actually a par 4. We get in the cart, and the first thing out of his mouth, well, thought I was going to break 100 today.
Yeah, it was so true.
Thanks for hanging in there, Andrew. You're being a good sport. Because
to be granted, that's when I already knew my second shot was from the very next tee box, because that's where my first tee shot went.
And it's okay. It's okay to get that out, like to say it out loud. Say that, exercise it, get out. Again, my boy John Rahm is the fiery guy who can. Him and Tyrrell Hatton, those guys, they can be goldfish. They can let it ride, burn it out, and then go to the next hole.
Sure.
But Andrew has below what that means his final score would be at that moment. And so that's where it is, because there's so much real estate between that first hole and that 18th hole. I scored a 10, literally a freaking 10 on the first hole of the Pub Links qualifier, and I still only missed the cut by 1. It wasn't a beautiful front 9, but it was an exercise in discipline, and I had to really hunker down and had to take at that point you are one swing away from certain death. It feels like that, but you're also one swing away from steadying the ship or chipping away at a bad round.
Well, so to your point, to your point, even though I wasn't necessarily happy with my start, I had some good swings and some good shots. I sank some, 1 or 2 longer putts out there.
Yes, you did.
And you know what? I still, even though I wasn't happy with how I was playing, I don't think I let it affect my mood for the day. I was still having a great time out there because it was a beautiful day.
You were a lot of fun to play with. I gotta say, you complimented Don very well. He did not compliment you at all. He complimented a lot, which was kind of obnoxious after a while. And then Roger joined us at the turn. But back to you. We're going to use you a little bit more here, because from the mental side, I think that's the only thing I would say is not know your role, but set a realistic goal and then walk away and play each hole one at a time. Yes. I genuinely walking out there. Okay, so I shot 76. I was hoping for 75 or better. New course, never been there. And I'll say this: the greens were fast, they were tricky. There was some. It's a tough course, and the conditions were good, but never playing a course before. I was just hoping to get out there with my hat and my pride, and I did until that last hole. I played the 18th like shit, but that's neither here nor there. So take it one hole at a time. Now, mechanically, just keep your head down.
That's really
all that is holy and mighty. Keep your head down. That's the only thing you were doing wrong all day.
I know.
Your head pull created any other problem, whether it was falling backwards. It's because you pulled your head up too soon, or topping the dog shit out of it. It's because you pulled your head up too soon. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you did, and I'm not going to tell everybody how you kind of figured that out. I'll let you come out of your closet with that. But
I've said it before. You could tell everybody we're going to come out with a shirt with teeth marks on the collar.
I've never seen that before in my life.
You
I've played
really bite the collar.
No,
Bite the
no,
collar.
no.
Hey,
I'm
but
shy.
admit it. But admit it. You saw the difference. It worked. Did
Yeah,
I not start hitting the ball in the air after I started biting my collar?
you were striping your driver as soon as you started keeping your head down. I refused to give in to your witch doctor magic. Just keep your damn head down. Instead of biting your collar, your right shoulder is what forces your chin up. If you watch somebody like Brooks Koepka,
But that's why I was biting the collar of my right shoulder. I was keeping it together.
oh my God, I fell ass backwards out of our story and back into Brooks. Did you see what Brooksy freaking said about the Live Tour points and the review process that's going on?
I feel like I did. I feel like I did because I remember reading something about him, but I don't remember what he
He
said.
basically just came. Listen, if you don't like it, say no. I feel like
Oh,
this is
yes.
fitting
Yeah.
to say that it's under review. Shut up, meathead.
But
Like you
that's the
don't
process.
get.
Once again, that goes back to my don't bitch about the process. You chose this.
Yes, yes. Like that's my point. Shut up, meathead. You know who's not complaining? DJ, 30 mil, and he's the only one so far who was smart enough to
Yeah.
keep his mouth shut on the front end, so nobody has a clip of him saying, oh, "I don't see myself leaving anytime soon." He never said anything. And then when he was the
You're right.
first one.
Now that you say that, I didn't even really. Yeah, we really haven't heard from DJ all that much.
Because he made his peace with it earlier. I renounced my membership with the PGA Tour. I'm going to play with Liv. It's going to, and then personally, he would say things like, more time at home, this, that, and the other. Then he goes and he wins a couple of them. He's cashing checks. He's the only one out of this whole thing. I'd say if Phil wouldn't have gotten outed, then he would be okay for a little bit. But I think all's well that ends well for Phil. But DJ, everybody else is kind of either on the record before or after with a little bit of hypocrisy on their hands. And by the way, I say hypocrisy in all jest. I'm not saying that I'm some morally superior being, not in this regard. But in the sense of it's fair play. Like Bryson, you open yourself up to it, and you did yourself no service by trying to cover up the rope with another rope. Did we ever get into that?
No, but you know what was funny? So
Josh Allen trolling the shit out of him.
So I didn't see Josh Allen trolling, but
oh, so good.
But my girlfriend saw that clip of him in the rope for the first time yesterday. And she was dying laughing, not at the fact that he walked into a rope, but the pure dramatics that followed him hitting his face on the rope, the down on the knee for like a solid minute, the grabbing the towel so fiercely and like throwing it, like, dude, laugh. You freaking hit your head on a rope. We've all done it. Like, just chill out.
God, no, we did, because we talked about it, because then Davis Love III was driving around, whipping around on a golf cart, going under ropes, and everybody was like, look, it can be done. So the official world golf ranking points is going to take some time to level out. Yeah. Considering they already award points for 54 hole events, considering they, meaning the powers that be, don't consider it limited field until it hits 30. I don't see why that should be held against them.
Knowing that now, I do agree. That does change my thinking, because at first I was like, no, there should be some sort of mathematical formula to reduce the points or whatever. But knowing what you've dug into and all that, those facts now, it makes sense.
I mean, listen, it would be wild if you had multiple 54 hole events. I'm sure it's happened a handful of times in a PGA Tour season, weather and shit like that.
Sure.
And so I guess that's where they're going to have to say, well, now we have to rewrite the rules, because now we have this entire tour that plays exclusively 54 hole events. So come back to your application's been denied. And then, oh, by the way, here are our new rules for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
And they just rewrite it and say, from now on, if it's 54 hole events, you are eligible for X percentage of the points. And they build in some other stipulation to keep them out, or they let them in. They finally freaking let them in. They say, good, you made your point. We will use the exact same formula we use to calculate points for every other tour for your tour. We will do that, but we are going to also make this new addendum that says, no matter what, if it's 54 holes, you only get 75% of the total possible points allotted. So I think that's the direction we're heading, because
That's what it
It's
feels like.
just, yeah. I mean, and I don't fault Liv for trying these backdoor tactics to get points sooner. Getting on the Mina tour. Now I feel bad for. Actually, I don't feel bad for anybody. The Mina tour is going to get a shitload of money from the Saudis for this. That's exactly how they got the partnership. They said, "Hey, by the way, you're struggling. We'll bankroll your mini tour. You sign on and let our guys be officially part of it, and we're good to go." And it's not going to last. It's not going to work. I do think that Liv's just going to eventually get their. I'm not going to say get their cake and eat it too, because I do think then the DP World Tour and PGA Tour can say, no, you can't play in our events if you are an officially international play back on. President's Cup. All right, President's Cup and U.S. Ryder Cup. That's all now just determined by world golf ranking points. We take your tour out of it. There you go. Fair enough. Figure it out on your own.
Yeah,
That's the direction.
Both of those tours would be in their right. They're within their rights to do. Might it create some public backlash or within the golf world? Maybe, but short term, it would disappear at some point.
Will the aforementioned Tom Kim be the first golfer to turn to the PGA Tour and say, what does an exclusivity contract look like to you? And does the PGA Tour say, nice try, Junior, go have fun? Because I do think that the longer the PGA Tour holds their ground, there's not enough real estate over at Live for more than realistically, I'd say 60. That would be like saying 12 teams of 5, and then you put 4 out every week, which I do think they're going to eventually, if this works out the way they want to, they'll have teams like the Fireballs will be those 4 guys. And then, you'll have a 5th, and it'll be like a rotating player captain type scenario where everybody has to spend 1 week at captain, at least during the season,
Which the captain doesn't, now that they're really not picking teams every week, the captain does not mean anything anymore.
Au contraire. I think you see the captaincy role as, again, that hat of what's your value add when you're not swinging a golf club? Can you zip around from group to group, pepping the guys up? So there's a great story floating around
that's a fair point.
Great, phenomenal story that you should look up about Sam Burns and in the President's Cup. And he was on the ropes, and Fred Couples, because by the way, after hearing some of the stories that came about Freddie in this last President's Cup and just the role that he's played as I want him to be perma captain for either the President's Cup or the Ryder Cup. I kind of lean President's Cup because I think what we're going to see actually is more of a perma Tiger in the Ryder Cup scenario, but that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. But Freddie Couples is a vice captain. He gets on the radio and he sees that Sam Burns is, struggling. He's on the ropes. He says, somebody go out there, get in this kid's ear right now and tell him how fucking good he is. And somebody did. And all of a sudden, Sam Burns battles back to a draw. And it's like, that's what that captain can do from you. Now, we've seen what Bubba can do walking around giving live commentary and yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
But it is going to be, a team chemistry that clicks. Or do all the guys know each other well enough to know what ticks? Who needs a pat on the back? Kick in the pants? Who needs a laugh? And so, do you have that kind of chemistry? This is the vision, right? Like I'm trying to paint the dream where now I'm Dustin Johnson, and after 5 years on Live, I am going to retire, and I'm going to invest and own the 4 aces. And so that's my legacy. I'm going to spend the next 20 years as ownership of this little team. And I got 5 seats on my team. And if you come play for me, you get a base salary of $2.5 million a year with the potential for bonus and prizes through tournament play.
Sure.
So now you have these teams that can start offering now let's get into payroll, right? If Elon Musk decides he wants to bankroll. So again, I go back to when Hardy was busting my balls about which one of you guys was saying this is a good product. Pardon me, I'll cede the high ground in that it's not a marketable, profitable product yet.
Sure,
but it's definitely a plausible model, especially in an emerging global game like golf.
And look, if they go the role of the captain, like you're saying, live mics, please. I think the golf fan would gain so much entertainment by hearing those little, behind the ropes conversations between the captain and the other guys on the team, saying like, somebody go talk, like you said, somebody hear Freddie Couples on the broadcast saying, someone go tell Burns how good he is. Like that would be fantastic entertainment from a viewer standpoint to hear that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to be the same thing like NBA or
Exactly.
Major League Baseball. Now we got the playoffs going on, and
they interview players on the field while play is happening.
That's been some of the coolest shit to watch, though, especially
that's crazy.
These middle infielders like mid talk and they're answering a question turned into double play.
Yeah,
I like that. I don't think you can really get that in any other sport, maybe golf.
Sure,
and the players have said for a while they wouldn't want it on the PGA Tour, but I bet the live guys would do it. But
probably. Well, look, I think there's one thing we can say: the guys have gone to live are very open-minded about breaking down the barriers of traditional golf. So I'd say they're probably
amazing what tens of millions of dollars can do.
But what I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure they're probably for just about anything.
That's fair enough. I don't know if we solved a lot today. I do think that it's worth noting that
what are you talking about? Keep your head down.
If you're a golf junkie, make sure you check out the Zosa this week. I'm not going to say it's a strong field, but it's a PGA Tour field. It is a strong PGA Tour field.
It's not a bad field, though. Not a bad field at all.
No, so a lot of the big names, the DP World Tour is coming down to the end of their run. I think they got a handful of tournaments left. They play more of a calendar season, so their race to Dubai is coming up. And so I think you're going to see the Matty Fitzpatricks and maybe John Rahms. They're not – I mean, those are guys who they've already figured out what tournaments they're going to play in next year to maintain their minimums. And this is not one of them because they're also in a race for, a pot of gold over there.
Sure.
Pot of gold, the nice Aaron Judge reference. I think he's going to go to the Giants, and I think he's going to go to the Giants for a boatload of money. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I could be wrong. People think like, there's no way he's leaving New York. It's the Yankees. I don't know the guy personally, but I do.
He grew up a Giants I think he's at least leaving New York, I think, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
if I had to guess, he's at least leaving. I don't know where, but he's leaving.
He's going to say, I mean, the Yankees are going to give him an offer. He's going to say no thanks. And then he's going to go out probably with that number and say, who's got, he's going to say, you or you. You got this, I'm yours. And I think Giants will be one of them. It's his hometown team. They need a new face since Buster Posey's kind of no more. Madison Bumgarner, they thought they were going to be able to hang their hat on him. He's crazy. Good guy, can sling it and he can hit, but he's crazy. And so here you've got your literal giant. And so they say, what do you want? You want a Billy? You want $1 billion for 10 years? Let's figure it out. I mean, dear God, what would the luxury taxes be on that? But he is going to get, he's going to get probably, I wouldn't sign a 10-year contract if I'm a player of his ilk. I would say I want a 5-year with maybe maybe 5 years and then 2 more player years for this.
Yep. That would make sense because if he believes in the stability of his body, he should be thinking one more contract after this. Or like you said, if come towards the end of that 5 years, he feels like maybe I'm at my peak now and I've already hit my peak, or if he's faced some injuries, then he has those 2 years options to stay in.
Like 5 years.
That makes 10 years is way too much of a commitment for him to miss out on a potential other contract.
I want 5 for $275, with a 1-year player option after that. And realistically thinking, after 3 years, we're going to renegotiate this to make it an 8-year overall start to finish retroactively for this. Like that's the newer model. I also don't think you see teams saying we're going to lock in for 10 years at $50 million a year when there's just too many variables. I mean, I don't care what you try to save on not guaranteeing the whole thing. There's too much at stake here.
I don't see a team going that type of contract either. That seems a little outrageous for baseball these days.
Before we wrap this up, truth gun to your head, is Bailey Zappi the future of the New England Patriots?
No.
You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Look, do I think he's a bad thing for the Patriots right now? No, because it provides some entertainment in a season that. Look, I think the Zappi fever is really just attributed to the fact that I think most Patriots fans know that nothing big is going to come out of this season, so let's give us the most entertainment possible. We'd rather see a young kid who's out there running around and doing something that we don't know about than watching a hobbled Mac Jones try to drag this team to maybe a playoff. I'd rather miss the playoffs. I wouldn't. I think most fans right now, knowing that we're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, would rather miss the playoffs and see entertaining wild games.
I think we will backdoor fall ass backwards into the playoffs
Possible.
behind a defense that got a shot of. It was the
defense
Lions,
has
but
looked
it was a Lions team that was averaging like 35 plus a game.
35. They were the number one offense in the league.
Thank you.
Scoring wise.
So you get a shot. Look at the early Pats teams of the early 2000s. You get a shot of adrenaline from the defense.
Yep.
You get a couple of reliable running backs and a quarterback who simply won't turn it over. And like you said on the golf course, he wasn't just checking and dumping it down. He was making some decent throws.
No, he took some shots too.
Not every Super Bowl team is led by an MVP.
Correct.
Hashtag Joe Flacco. You know what I mean? Like it's
hashtag Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer. So I agree. I don't know if he's the future of the New England Patriots, but I definitely think that was an intriguing performance to see, because we talk about it on the show all the time. We're talking about professionals. These are not schlubs. A lot of it, you talk to those, you hear these players talk about what was it like in that locker room on these 0-17 teams versus like a Super Bowl team they played on before. And they'll say like, dude, you know, these are great football. They're all athletes. They're all pros. Yeah. There's something that happens in this culture. And when you're breathing that Kraft air, that Foxborough air, that Belichick air, you know, and you see Tom Brady's marriage falling apart and, you know, he's losing to blah, blah, blah. There could be that little bit of resurgence that maybe it wasn't all TB12. Maybe we do have the foundation here for greatness. And so show up, do your job, run the damn ball, don't turn it over, and have some backbone. I mean, I could see us getting our clock cleaned in a wild card game.
Yeah. Did you? Hold on, I'm trying to pull up the tweet now because I'm pretty sure it was obviously a joking tweet. And I'm not gonna be able to find it now. But you just reminded me when you brought up Giselle and Brady. But there was like a joking Zach Wilson tweet out there. Hold on, is this it right here? This might be it. This is fantastic radio right here. Me searching for a tweet that I can't find. But basically it was along the lines of you guys, like something along the lines like, oh, you guys think I'm hitting Brady's wife or something like that, but then really it's just a one and done, like a dump and run kind of thing. And it was just like such a troll, and it was all just obviously just a joke. Like it wasn't like Siri, like Zach Wilson's obviously not doing that, but it got like people in a storm on social media, and it was just fun to watch. Not that watching somebody's marriage falling apart is fun, but when you start slipping in the Zach Wilson jokes, considering all the jokes that came up with him in the offseason, you got to chuckle a little bit at those. Because it's making fun of Zach Wilson more than Brady and Giselle.
If you're going to get made fun of for something in life, would you rather it be being shitty at golf or banging hot moms?
I'd rather be made fun of for banging hot moms.
That's like an impossible question to answer.
Well, I was gonna say I had as a father I had to really think. There's wrong answers in there.
That is a wrong answer.
We'll cut this part out. This is the after hours edition right now.
This is about the after the final rose. No, that about does it for this week. I'm turning 40 on Sunday, so I'm trying to exercise all of my, I don't know, facing down my demons.
That means next week my co-host will be over the hill. Is it 40 that's over the hill? Or is that 50? I feel like it used to be 40, but I feel like it's changed to 50.
40 is the new 50. So if 40 is the new 30, 50 is over the hill. So I'm good for like another 2 decades.
Over the hill.
In other words, I'm in my prime.
Yes. Oh, you're 100% in your prime. 40 years old is the over the hill age. So that means you're at the peak of your hill.
Says who? Fake news. Fake news. I want a source check on this. And again, so I got another 10 years because 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40. So 40 is over the hill.
You're good. You're good to go. But like Bud said, that's gonna wrap it up for us.
Get
Kind of
it
like
together, Tyrone.
kind of like my golf round was after about 5 holes. We're wrapping it up early. No, we're not wrapping up early. We're wrapping up on time. But thank you for joining us as always here on Tuesday nights on the Divots and Pivots. Oh my God, Divots and Pivots show. Thank you as always to Mala Brothers and Piper Golf. And of course, Belly Up Media, Belly Up Sports, Belly Up Fantasy Sports. Check out the entire Belly Up network. Pretty much just type Belly Up something, and you're gonna find one of our websites. A lot of great content, a lot of great content right now. And look, we love having you guys. Fantasy National Golf Club, as always, too. Once we hit January, we're gonna be kicking back into the DFS realm, so we will be back on there with our models. So catch us every Tuesday. Again, we will be back here next week on Twitter, on YouTube, on the podcast networks. Thank you as always. We will see you next week here on Divots and Pivots.